Welcome back guys. In today's our video we'll be starting with topic that is known as false imprisonment under law of torts. So in IPC we know this topic by wrongful confinement and under law of torts because torts is a civil wrong. In that case it is false imprisonment under law of torts. So in today's our video we will be starting with the definition, the essentials, the remedies, the defenses and the case laws that are very important under this topic for law of torts. So this video is going to be good knowledge content for those who are preparing for CLAT as well as those who are preparing for writing their exams. So moving on to the video. So starting with what is false imprisonment. Basically definition. False imprisonment involves a person. There are basically minimum two persons. The first person is the plaintiff who is being restrained and the second person is defendant who is restraining the plaintiff. So basically the defendant who restrains the plaintiff does not have any justification or any right to restrain him. So because of this the defendant can be sued in the court of law for making the plaintiff suffer damages, that is that the plaintiff is not able to enjoy his freedom. So reading out the definition, that is wrongful imprisonment occurs when a person, that is a person who does not have the legal right or justification is intentionally restricts other person from exercising his freedom. So the freedom is hindered and there is malefied intention on the part who is person who is hindering the freedom of the other person. So basically when someone intentionally restricts the other person's freedom, he can be found liable for the false imprisonment in civil as well as criminal courts. In criminal courts we deal with IPC, in civil we will be having law of torts. So moving on to the next. What are the elements of false imprisonment? The first element is willful detention. There must be the detention of the plaintiff. So the will means the will of the defendant. This will does not involve the will of the plaintiff but only involves the will of the defendant. So second is the intention factor. The intention factor of the defendant must be malefied. So the malefied intentions for the defendant must be there as well as for plaintiff, he must not have the knowledge, he must not have the knowledge as well as the consent of plaintiff must not have been taken by the defendant. So the consent of the plaintiff as well as the knowledge of the plaintiff must not be there for the element of false imprisonment against the will of plaintiff. Now next is defenses of false imprisonment. The defenses of false imprisonment. First is valid arrest. So basically, where the person who is arresting any person or imprisoning any person can claim the defenses of false imprisonment. If valid arrest is there, the valid arrest can be example where the police arrest any person. Police arrest any person. So if police is arresting any person in his power, then in that case the valid arrest is there. So it is a defense. But in case the police is using his power arbitrarily, in that case that is not a valid arrest. Hence the police also can be sued for false imprisonment. Second is consent to restrain. If the plaintiff have given the consent, plaintiff has given the consent. If there is a involvement of free consent is a very important factor. Free consent. Free consent is a very important factor. That is the consent of plaintiff must not be obtained by fraud, coercion, misrepresentation. So the plaintiff is capable of consenting as well as the consent is free consent. That is not dependent on any cause, any coercion, any other factor. So the consent, if the consent of plaintiff is taken by the defendant, in that case, it is a defense of false imprisonment. Now third is probable cause. If the person who is causing false imprisonment has a probable cause against the imprisonment, then in that case the person who is causing the imprisonment is defended. So what is probable cause? If suppose for example a person A has killed B and C has seen him killing B, so C, in order to prevent A to escape the premises, he restrains or imprisons A without the power, without the authority. But here the person who is restraining the person has probable cause so that he could prevent the escape of A. So C can be held not liable for the suit of false imprisonment because he is a probable cause and he can be depended on that ground. Now next is remedies. So what are the remedies available? That is action for loss, that loss suffered by the plaintiff, direct loss. Second is nominal and compensatory damages. So if there is nominal or any kind of compensation that can be granted for the remedies for the restitution of the plaintiff in the normal position, then that can be given. Punitive, exemplary and aggravated losses, if there, then the plaintiff can also claim that. And fourth is habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is a kind of writ petition that can be filed in Honorable Supreme Court as well as High Court. High Court. For filing or writ of habeas corpus, Supreme Court can be preferred under Article 32 of Constitution of India, and High Court can be preferred under Article 226. So it is a valid ground that a person who is making a writ of habeas corpus must refer the lowest court. So lowest court is High Court under Article 226. So if the High Court is unable to resolve the query, then in that case Supreme Court can also be referred under Article 32 of the Constitution of India. So these are the remedies that are available to the person who is being restrained. After that, we will be dealing with the landmark cases that are covered in this topic and that are very important for the purpose of understanding. First case is Bhim Singh versus State of J&K. So, who was Bhim Singh? Bhim Singh was an MLA. And the state of Jammu and Kashmir is the respondent here. Why? Because the MLA, that is Bhim Singh, was trying to participate in the assembly meeting, but his opponents, in order to prevent him from attending the assembly session, got him arrested wrongfully without any cause with the help of some executives and the police. So magistrate also granted his arrest without following any kind of procedure. In that case, the Supreme Court has held liable for wrongful arrest and detention of the petitioner and ordered a compensation of rupees 50,000 to be paid in the favor of petitioner. So I also told you previously that police can also cause false imprisonment. So this is a pure example of police causing false imprisonment and misusing its power. So the Supreme Court is there and can make the remedies available to the plaintiff. Second case is Rudal Shah versus State of Bihar. So in this case, the petitioner was an under trial offender, that is not a convicted but an under trial person. So he was wrongfully confined in jail for several years. But there arises a question that if a person is in jail, then how can he be wrongfully confined? Here it is wrongfully confined because the order of his acquittal was made by the court, but still the order was not executed, and hence the several years of the petitioner were spoiled. So the High Court in this case held that the person under trial is not found guilty by the court, he should be set free. Any detention after it shall be unlawful. So it was held to be unlawful detention, and the person was awarded with a sum of rupees 30,000 as a compensation given by the state. So this was the second case. Now third. DK Basu versus State of West Bengal. This is very important case in law of torts as well as CRPC. That in this case the Supreme Court has issued 11 directives that has to be followed well when the person is being arrested. So uh, the case was filed regarding Article 21 and Article 22 of the Constitution of India, where the custodial violence including torture, death in lockups was questioned. So Supreme Court given 11 directives that has to be followed when a person is being arrested. The directive includes the written record of arrest, the information of arrestee's family of his arrest, the examination on request and among others. So these are the major directives that are issued by the Supreme Court. The one of the main is that the person cannot be tortured without any ground. So this is all about the case of DK Basu versus State of West Bengal. So this was all about the false imprisonment topic that is covered under law of torts. In next video I will be dealing malicious prosecution under torts law. So Kindly stay tuned. If you have any query, then in that case you can just refer the comment section. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for further updates.